Only 1% can master these 5 Stoic rules. Most people think they understand Stoicism. They've heard the quotes. They've seen Marcus Aurelius on Instagram. They know they should control their emotions. They know they shouldn't worry about things they can't control. But knowing Stoicism and actually living like a Stoic are two completely different things. Because the moment life becomes uncomfortable, most people abandon everything they believe. Someone insults them, and they lose control. Someone gets promoted, and they become jealous. Their relationship ends, and they fall apart. Their bank account gets smaller, and panic takes over. Someone doesn't reply to their message, and they spend the entire night wondering what they did wrong. That's why I'm going to give you 5 Stoic rules today, not 5 inspirational quotes. 5 rules that become extremely difficult when you actually try to live them. And the 5th one is the hardest, because mastering it means becoming someone who doesn't need life to go their way in order to remain at peace. So let's start with the first rule, and don't underestimate it, because this first rule destroys one of the biggest illusions of modern life. Rule number 1, stop trying to control what was never yours to control. This sounds simple, almost too simple. But look at your life. How much of your stress comes from things you actually control? Your actions, your choices, your effort, your attention, your response. Now look at everything else. What people think about you, whether someone likes you, whether your boss recognizes your work, whether the economy gets better, whether the market goes up, whether someone stays in your life, whether another person betrays you, whether your plans work out. You spend enormous amounts of mental energy trying to control things that were never yours. And that's one of the reasons people feel exhausted. They're fighting reality. Imagine you send someone a message. They don't respond. You check your phone, nothing. 10 minutes, nothing. An hour, nothing. Now your brain starts creating stories. Did I say something wrong? Are they angry? Are they ignoring me? Maybe they don't respect me. You haven't lost anything yet, but your mind has already created suffering. The Stoics would tell you their response is not yours. Your response is, that's the distinction. You can send the message. You cannot control whether they answer. You can prepare for the interview. You cannot control whether the company hires you. You can work hard. You cannot control whether everyone notices. You can love someone. You cannot control whether they stay. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to control uncontrollable things, you gain more control over your actual life. But there's a problem. Your brain doesn't like uncertainty. Modern life makes this even worse. You have notifications, news, social media, markets, algorithms, comments, opinions. Everyone is constantly telling you what you should worry about. And if you're not careful, your attention becomes a public resource. Everyone gets access to your mind. The Stoics understood something different. Your attention is one of your most valuable possessions. So protect it. Don't spend your entire day emotionally reacting to things you cannot change. Because that brings us to rule number 2. And this one is going to hurt if you are addicted to comfort. Rule number 2. Do not obey every feeling you have. You feel tired. You don't work. You feel anxious. You avoid the opportunity. You feel angry. You send the message. You feel lonely. You text someone you know is bad for you. You feel bored. You open your phone. You feel stressed. You spend money. You feel insecure. You seek validation. Notice what's happening. You're allowing temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. And modern technology makes this incredibly easy. Your brain wants immediate relief. Feeling bored? Scroll. Feeling stressed? Order food. Feeling lonely? Open social media. Feeling insecure? Check who liked your post. Feeling unhappy? Buy something. The modern world is incredibly good at giving you instant emotional anesthesia. But Stoicism teaches a completely different skill. Pause. Observe the emotion. Then choose your action. Not, I feel angry, therefore I must react. But, I feel angry. That's it. The feeling exists, but it doesn't get to drive the car. This is one of the most important psychological differences between emotional regulation and emotional suppression. Stoicism doesn't tell you to become a robot. You can feel anger. You can feel fear. You can feel sadness. You can feel desire. But you don't have to obey every feeling. That's strength. Imagine someone insults you. Your first instinct is to respond. Your ego says, "Don't let them disrespect you." But the Stoic asks, "Why should another person's behavior determine mine?" That pause is power, because whoever controls your reactions controls part of your life. And if you can create even a few seconds between emotion and action, you create freedom. But now we reach rule number 3, and this one is especially difficult in a culture obsessed with comparison. Rule number 3, stop measuring your life against other people's lives. This might be one of the hardest rules to follow in 2026, because you don't have to go looking for comparison anymore. Comparison comes directly to your phone. You wake up, someone bought a house, someone got married, someone got promoted, someone is traveling through Europe, someone bought a new car, someone built a successful business, someone looks better, someone earns more, someone is younger than you and already seems more successful. And suddenly, your life feels smaller. But here's what you forget. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You see their vacation. You don't see their debt. You see their new car. You don't see the monthly payment. You see their promotion. You don't see the years of stress behind it. You see their relationship. You don't see what happens when the camera turns off. And this is where Stoicism becomes extremely relevant to modern life. The Stoics didn't tell you to win someone else's race. They told you to master yourself. Your competition isn't the person next to you. It's the version of yourself you were yesterday. And that sounds nice. But living it is difficult, because ego wants comparison. Ego wants status. Ego wants recognition. Ego wants to know, am I ahead? But peace asks a different question. Am I living according to my values? Those are completely different questions. You can be ahead of everyone and still be miserable. You can have less money and more freedom. You can have fewer followers and more meaningful relationships. You can have a smaller house and a quieter mind. The Stoic doesn't ask, does my life look impressive? He asks, is my life aligned with what matters? And once you stop constantly looking sideways, you finally have enough attention to look forward. But there's another problem, because even if you stop comparing yourself to other people, life will still hurt you. People will leave, plans will fail, money will disappear, opportunities will vanish, you will get rejected, you will lose things you love. And that brings us to rule number 4. Rule number 4, learn to use pain instead of wasting it. Most people experience pain and immediately ask, how do I get rid of this? The Stoic asks, what can this teach me? That's a completely different mindset. You lose a job. You can spend 6 months telling yourself, my life is over. Or you can ask, what did this reveal about my skills? What can I improve? What opportunity does this force me to consider? A relationship ends. You can spend years replaying the past. Or you can ask, what did this relationship teach me about myself? Where were my boundaries? What will I do differently next time? You fail. You can turn failure into an identity. I'm a failure. Or you can turn it into information. This approach didn't work. That's it. Failure is an event. It doesn't have to become your identity. This is where Stoicism becomes incredibly powerful. The Stoics didn't believe you should live a life without adversity. They understood something more useful. Adversity can become training. Every difficult situation can become a test of character. Patience is tested when someone annoys you. Courage is tested when you're afraid. Discipline is tested when you don't feel like doing the work. Wisdom is tested when you don't know what to do. And resilience is tested when life takes something away. You don't build a strong mind by avoiding every difficult experience. You build it by learning how to respond to difficult experiences. But there is one final rule. And this is the one that separates people who know Stoicism from people who actually live it. Because everything we've discussed so far eventually leads here. Rule number 5. Accept that you will never control the outcome. Read that again mentally. You can control the effort, not the result. You can control the preparation, not the outcome. You can control your behavior, not someone else's reaction. You can control your values, not how the world rewards you. And this is incredibly difficult for ambitious people, because ambition teaches you to chase outcomes. Get the job, make the money, buy the house, build the business, get the relationship, reach the goal. And there's nothing wrong with ambition. The problem begins when your happiness becomes conditional. I'll be happy when I get there. I'll relax when I have enough money. I'll feel successful when people recognize me. I'll be confident when I finally look like that. You've just handed your piece to something you don't control. And that's dangerous, because even if you achieve the goal, your mind will immediately create another one. More money, more status, more followers, more success, more validation. The finish line keeps moving. The Stoic approach is different. Give everything to the process, but emotionally detach yourself from the outcome. Work hard, prepare, train, study, build, take the risk, but accept that reality may still say no. And if reality says no, you adapt. You don't collapse, because your identity was never attached to the outcome. It was attached to the character you brought to the process. That's freedom. And this is why the fifth rule is so difficult, because it requires you to give your best without demanding that the universe reward you for it. Think about that. You can be a good person and still be betrayed. You can work hard and still fail. You can love someone and still lose them. You can make the right decision and still experience pain. Stoicism doesn't promise that life will become easier. It teaches you how to become harder to destroy. And that's the real goal, not becoming emotionless, not becoming cold, not pretending that nothing hurts, but becoming someone who can experience pain without allowing pain to decide who they become. Now let's put all 5 rules together. Rule number 1, control what you can, release what you can't. Rule number 2, feel your emotions, but don't obey every emotion. Rule number 3, stop measuring your life against other people's lives. Rule number 4, use pain as training instead of wasting it as suffering. And rule number 5, give everything to the process, but accept that you don't control the outcome. These 5 rules sound simple, but living them is not. Because the world constantly pushes you in the opposite direction. Social media tells you to compare. Advertising tells you to want more. Your ego tells you to react. Your fears tell you to avoid discomfort. And modern culture constantly tells you that happiness is waiting for you somewhere in the future. The Stoics offer a more difficult message. Stop waiting. Your life is happening now. You don't need perfect circumstances to practice courage. You don't need more money to practice gratitude. You don't need everyone's approval to practice self-respect. You don't need certainty to practice discipline. And you don't need a perfect life to have a peaceful mind. The goal isn't to control the world. The goal is to stop allowing the world to control you. And maybe that's what separates the 1%. Not intelligence, not wealth, not luck, but the ability to remain yourself when life doesn't go according to plan. Because anyone can be calm when everything is going well. The real test is what happens when it isn't. When you're rejected, when you're criticized, when you're broke, when you're alone, when you're afraid, when nobody applauds, when the future is uncertain. Can you still control your response? Can you still act according to your values? Can you still keep your character? If you can, you've already mastered something most people spend their entire lives chasing. Not success, not status, not control over the world. Control over yourself. And that is the ultimate Stoic victory.